All right, we are live. Hello, everybody. Everybody, hello.
Hello.
Hello, good vibes. I see you. Let me see. Let me girl scroll up. Okay, it's some of y'all in here. So today we are going to talk about tarot and divination. I got my notification. Thank you very much. I see you down there, Autumn. I'll bring you in just a second. I have today Ona's Tarot. Thank you very much. And I have you, Joyce, All Knowing Tarot. And I have Black and Orange Tarot. Where's your hall pass? Autumn, that's Joyce. Autumn, that's Ona. And
Hi.
Hi, Autumn. Hi.
Hi.
so we are going to talk about tarot and divination. We are all tarot readers and have divinations of different sorts and different way of approaching readings and different way of approaching guides and all that good stuff on the other side. We're not doing any readings today for the couple of questions I seen in the chats. We're not doing those today. We'll do those some other day. But today, I do want to start by saying, damn it, not that, but I had a bowl or a bell or something. Anyway, tomorrow is Autumn's 50th birthday. So we are going over to Black and Orange Tarot. You take your hips over there and tell a happy birthday. Tomorrow at 12 noon Central.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Your
So y'all
special
make
day.
sure that you are over there. If somebody could pretty please, I put it in the description, but put her channel in the chat. If you're not subscribed, shame on you because you should have been. But thank you, lucky girl. So tomorrow we will be over there, and like I say, you take your hips over there and you tell a happy birthday. So next month she has a book coming out too, but we'll talk about that too when it's closer. So Ona, you have anything going on you want to tell everybody about?
Not really, not much. I'm doing a lot of sewing. I have a show coming up. I do a lot of leather work. A lot of my channel is kind of an art thing. Let me show you what I did today. It's really cute. Okay. And I am, because I'm being pushed to and forced to, I'm going to create a website, even if it's a simple one, because people keep asking for the leather stuff I'm making. Okay. This is the bulldog. Look at that. See that?
Aww.
And these are like journal holders or for tarot readers. They're like card holders. You could put the cards in there.
I have a bag and I was trying to find it.
That bag, that's like so 2019 or 2018. That's like, no. These are so cute. Look at how cute that is.
Very cute.
Isn't that dark?
Mm.
All leather. So, and at the end, Johnny, I want to give you one to thank you for coming on the channel, asking me to guest speak tonight. So,
well, thank you.
doing a lot of
Joyce.
that. I'm not doing any private readings right now. I have a handful of clients that I enjoy reading for that we've had a long relationship with. So I just like to do that. If people really, really need me, they know how to find me.
Joyce, what you got going on?
I'm like Ona, not too much. This is the time of year that I buckle down with family. This is family time. But I've got on the 7th of this month, I've got Zoe, which you probably heard me talk about her, Joy. She's a fantastic astrologer. So she is going to be looking at going through the signs and looking at how we can have more peace in our signs, our lives, and add to the world based on your sun, moon, rising sign. So she's going to do that. And like I said, that'll be on the 7th. And then I'm finishing up some readings so that I can kind of finish that up for the year and take a break and start fresh next year. That's that's about it. That's all I got going. That's all I got.
Astro Pumpkin, what do you have going on down there? I know your birthday is tomorrow, but what do you have going on?
Well, tomorrow we're going to be reading on 50 years in the future, 2071.
Nice.
So fingers crossed. I'm a little worried there's going to be a whole lot of water involved. But we'll see.
If the creek don't rise, as they say.
Right?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Right.
So tomorrow, oh, you go ahead. I'm sorry.
So I've got that. We're doing that tomorrow, and then next week I'm thinking about starting some giveaways, and gonna start actually with some gift bags that I used to make them, but I actually have some that I want to give away as well. There's a shortage here in the States for. I'm hearing a lot about shortages for like wrapping paper and things like that. But I use these fabric bags that I made years ago from I went to the, like 20 years ago, I went to the dollar store and I got these tapestry placemats. And I had some old zippers and I sewed them all together. And I've been using these cute bags for 20 years and I'll have them for the rest of my life. So I thought I might start with some of that. And then eventually maybe start giving away some of my own designs. So some of that too.
Did you make that?
I designed it. Yeah, these
Oh, that's
Eight of
cute.
Wands, the World, Two of Cups.
Do you have these for sale?
Not yet, because I was testing a couple of different places to see the quality, check the quality,
Okay.
and then Seven of Pentacles. So, and I have two cats who one's mainly orange and one's white. So these are. So anyway, so that's coming up. I have a mystery novel coming out December 4th. And with my plethora of free time, I do in the afternoons at 4:00 Chicago time, I do creative sprints, just time creative sprints for anybody who does anything creative, just a way to carve some creative time to be creative, because I think that giving that energy to the world is so vitally important. The world needs your creative energy. It's good for your health. It's good for people around you. It's good for this energy of the world. So any kind of craft, any kind of writing or leather work or anything at all. So do that every day too.
Lucy Carolyn, mystery novel. Where do we get it?
Right now it is up for pre-order on Amazon. It is called In Time, and it's a play on words, as many mystery novels are, at INN, because it's set in an inn.
Set in an inn.
The Mysterious Inn is the name of the series, but it's in INN Time. And my name is Sebastienne Elston. Most people around here just call me Autumn, but my real name is Sebastienne.
So tomorrow I will be with Autumn and we will be doing some reads over there for her 50th birthday. So like I said, you make sure you take your hips over there and tell her happy birthday. And then that night at 7 p.m.-ish Color Folk time, we will be on Red Lentil Healing during our, not astrology, but our zodiac readings. Because I don't know nothing about astrology. So we'll be doing our zodiac readings, and don't bring your sensitivities because we are going to crack up and have some fun. So first question here. We'll start with you, Ona.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to tell a person, I read tarot cards, what would you say? How would you explain that to them? What is tarot to you?
I'm somebody who just says that. I'm somebody who would just say that. And if they ask me to explain what that, they know what that means if they're asking me. But if they ask me to explain that, I say, that is something that I do to help people. That's just one of the little avenues that I use in sort of coaching people, spiritual coaching kind of thing that I do. It's one thread of it. And it's just to help you kind of zero in on the choices that are presented to you. That's all.
Autumn, what would you say? What is tarot to you? What would you tell them?
I explain it on my channel all the time, because I think some people come to the channel thinking it's something that it's not. Mm-hmm. I joke about that. I joke that this is not psychic Griswelda who knows all. It's not that kind of thing. That we're reading on the collective energy. And I remind people that their souls are pieces of the divine, and we are all connected, and we are all connected to the divine, and we are always connected. And this is a way to try to get past our biases, but to really touch on that collective energy and see what's in that collective energy. And it's also a reminder that people who are even sort of good at reading on the collective energy, we are all glass houses. Mm-hmm. So don't be a jerk, because there are people with even this much ability to read who'll be able to, if they want to, just go, oh, what's in your energy field? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And if you don't believe all that new age stuff, it's entertainment. So,
Joyce, what would you say?
Well, what I say is I'm a spiritual advisor, because
Mm-hmm.
I look at the tarot as an absolute fantastic sacred tool in order to look at you, not everything that's going out in there. That's my reality is that that's a tool to help you grow spiritually, emotionally, to clear out the gunk. And this is the path. This is the lesson. This is what you're going to use to get there. This is who's going to be there. And it's a tool to help advance you on your spiritual path. Mm-hmm. And I always say I'm not a gypsy, or,
Right.
you know, I'm not like Black and Orange Autumn was saying, I'm not a know-all or be-all. That's not what we're even here for. If you're looking for that, you're probably at the wrong place, you know. Mm-hmm.
I always said it was, for me, it was a map. This is why I said anybody can read tarot. Now, you may not be the greatest, but you can always be better than what you were yesterday. So give it a shot, give it a try. But for me, it's a map, because each card is in a position. That position means something, and that card means something in that position. And so just work out what position that is, whether it's past, present, future, whether it's querent or challenge, whatever it is to you, that position says something with that card. So it's a map. It's not, sometimes I can be too literal to be spiritual sometimes. And so I'm like, just look at the information. You don't have to feel everything. Just look at the information. It's right there. Like, oh, I can't believe you've seen that. Well, it's right here. It's not that I dived into your energy and yanked something out. It's right here. Your guides, my guides, whatever, already looked at what was going on and put it right there. And said,
and sometimes it is though, Johnny, because you can do a flow of consciousness type of spread where you're not in a position, but you can turn and you can tell them their story, boom to boom to boom, right there, and they're like, "That's right, that's me, that's exactly me." Yeah, I know, I know, I'm plugged in.
So I've seen on your channel, Joyce, how you spoke about how you found tarot and how you started your channel. Can you give us some of that? How did you find tarot, or did it find you, do you think?
That's funny, because that's what I wrote down. I wrote some notes to myself, just like, because I'll get on here and forget. But it kind of found me. I started with a long time ago into a store in my town, downtown, in an old bookstore, and find this Asian fortune telling game, Gong Hee For Choi. That's what it is. And it's laid out. All the cards are laid out on sort of a map, and it's like the tableau. And so it started from there. And by that time we moved to Las Vegas. And when I got to Las Vegas, it was a whole nother world. And someone mentioned tarot, and they took me to a tarot shop. And, you know, I must have been about 19, 20, something like that. And I got a reading, and I was like, oh, well, I do this, I could probably do that too. And I just went from that point on. But then I decided, after doing it for a while, I got to get my education. I want to go to college, and I put it to the side, and then came back to it, or drew me back in once I started really watching everybody out here, you know, except for like I would do family and stuff like that every year. Everyone would get their yearly reading from me.
What about you, Autumn? How did you find it?
You know what? I'm trying to reflect. When Joyce was talking, I was living by myself, single, high rise in downtown Chicago. And when I took this class at the Latin school, and it was either I took a tarot class because I was interested, or I took the palm reading class. But either one, that teacher said, hey, you look like you really like this. You want to learn tarot, or you want to learn palmistry. I can't remember which one I did first. And I went to her house for like a year, every Wednesday, with two other women that were in the class, and we learned tarot. So I still have that original deck, and she told us the words to write on the card. She was like, ugh, she was in her 80s. She told us exactly when she was going to die. She was passing on this tradition. You had to put stuff away properly. You had to wash yourself properly, wear the things, say the prayer, anoint your cards. Don't let anybody touch. I mean, she had a rules for this game, right? Strict rules. And I always followed this kind of thing, where it had this strict ritual to it. Until you, actually, Johnny, until you, like, I started watching you, and I'm like, he's making fun of my sacred tarot. No, and then it's like, wait a minute, kiddo, you have to contemporize the practice of tarot, or you're not, it hits a progression. It's an art. You have to keep moving and moving. And that opened up more and more. And this was as I was, recuperating from the cancer stuff and learning about all the other crazy things that were going on. And it became a way for me to remember how my day evolved.
Mm-hmm.
I would
Sebastian.
take a picture. I would pull a card. I have them in my car, in the bathroom, in my purse. They're everywhere. I pull a card, I take a picture, and then at the end of the day, and I do this now, that's why I post pictures, that I would review my day.
Do you still take them with you?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I tried to, and then I would never use them every time I took them somewhere.
I always keep mine sitting by me, Ona. They're on the table or by my bedside table, because all of a sudden something will come to mind. Oh, let me check that out. Or I love to which is something that one of my students did. And we did this, I had them do this exercise. If they watch something competitive, like Wheel of Fortune or, Jeopardy or something like that, see who wins, do 3 and see who wins. And they were telling me how right they were. And I do that in my everyday life. Like, let me see who is going to win this, or who's going to be the winner of Survivor or whatever. And it's just, that's for fun. Yeah. I do it in a minute.
That is a great way to learn if you're learning. Mm-hmm. I do that too. Yep. And I will run around the house. How many times did you pull the devil on Donald Trump? And I would run. He's the devil. Out of the deck.
Yes.
So, okay, Sebastian, how did you find the tarot, or did it find you?
I was raised in a very strict Catholic household. And the tarot was the devil. No way was a tarot deck allowed in the house. This was not allowed. And to this day, my mother still is hoping I'm coming back to the church at some point. But I kept having, what I believe are memories of past lives, meeting people who we instantly knew we had known each other way back when. I had all of these experiences that did not fit with Catholicism. Nothing against Catholicism. It's just I was having a whole different spiritual life. So it wasn't until I was in college that I was able to, let's go to the New Age store, which I really wanted to go to. And it was the early 90s, and it was the rise of the New Age, Llewellyn Publishing and all of that. So I finally had access to these things. And I read off and on, and I learned a lot about astrology. But the big thing for me, for anybody who doesn't know, I do daily political readings on my channel at noon at Chicago time. And because I'm a news junkie. And so, and constantly, before I started my channel, something would come on the news about Trump or the situation, and I'd just be like, where are my cards? Where are my cards? And I finally realized as I was putting the cards down, I was like, I've got a camera. And there were 3 people on. There was Kirsten Langston and Rosie and Lena. And that was it, way back in the day. And so I started recording those, but I've got to tell you, I give huge credit to Kirsten Langston, because Third Eye Champagne, because she taught me something. Because I had been brought up in steeped in Catholicism. This idea of being New Age was fine, but you know, in reading on other people, maybe if they came to you and you had to be very careful and not really, just keep your distance. And she's just like, all right, let's go get in this person's energy. And I'm just like, oh, you can do that? We're allowed to do that?
Agree. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Let's go. Let's go in this energy. And then you realize, you start sending out your feelers on different people, and some of them it's like, oh, it's not as bad as I thought, and others it's like, oh, ew.
Yeah, some of them, right away you're like, I'm calling BS on the play. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So okay, I'm gonna stay with you, Sebastian, on this one. What do you want? Because this is a little divination, diversion. That's not the right word either. Anyway, it's a question I didn't put on the list. What do you want to tell, or what you wish people would know about tarot and divination? Like you said, you grew up in a religious household, which I did too. What do you wish people knew about tarot that they don't, or that they may have a misunderstanding? Because we have a lot of people that watch us that don't read tarot, but they grew up sort of similar to the way we did, to where it was supposed to be a bad thing. So what is some sort of misconceptions you'd like to maybe clear up on that one?
Well, first it's this idea of it's of the devil, because and the whole idea of us having power within ourselves innately and using that power was always associated with women and witches and all this kind of, or certainly pagans, but at least some of those were men. So I guess that was half okay, but women with power in themselves, that's just, so it's this idea of the devil. And this isn't a late night infomercial. And I pay for personal readings to get other people to do personal readings on me. I don't offer them. I'm not trying to sell you anything. These are my spiritual beliefs, and I wish people understood that I am not psychic Griswelda who knows all, and that's not what I'm trying to be. And my readings are not 100% accurate. And I don't try to pretend they are. And to me, it's all a lot more mundane. So, and I just want to throw in quickly, I don't mean to take up so much airtime, but one of the things for me is that I see the spiritual world as like layers or floors. And we're down here, and there are levels beneath us where it's just the energy is just more and more compacted down. And we give in our at this level, we give off energy, and so you end up on the astral with what I call astral gunk. And it's kind of sticky, and sometimes it'll like clump together and try to form semi-consciousness, or you get horrible people, Epstein, who leave their body, and their energy is just so bad. It's like they leave their body and they just go whoomph down to this level, but they're still connected. And it's just going to take a long time until they I call it, they're on a trickle charge. And until the point where his energy gets back up and the whole system reboots and he has to face what he did. This gunk and these people, they're parasites, and they feed on low energy. So they want to scare you. That's the point. So this idea, it's a demon, it's the devil, it's astral gunk. That's all it is. There's no evil plan in the background. There's no. If Lucifer, no, the archangels didn't fall. No, it's like fractal anyway off of the divine, and it would be like a huge chunk would have to fall. No.
And you know what? If people, somebody, I had a friend that was very, very religious, and she was, oh, that's evil, blah, blah, blah. I said, well, what about oracle cards? Oh, no, I can't do. Okay. So do you play cards with your family when you're on vacation? Okay. That's all I'm going to
Those
And I
say.
used to
don't
be
think
used for
that
divination too.
I don't think that, and I'm just going to be outside the box with everybody. I don't think that you have to be mutually exclusive. I'm Christian, and so, or Muslim, or whatever you are, and that's that. Or I am into the tarot or occultism. You can actually do both. Uh, Believe it or not, I grew up in a very religious household. We went to two different type of Lutheran church and a Baptist church, and I still live by certain tenets of aspects of that. I'm a strong believer in God. I use that word without a sense of uncomfortableness in it. I will get on the knees and pray in a minute, and then I will read my cards too. The cards are steeped in religious symbols. I mean, you've got mudras, which if you know about, well, I don't know about Ona, but with Autumn, we get the benediction at the end of the service. He puts a mudra up your well, we pastors, what we call them. You got the communion cup, right? The Ace of Cups with blood and the body and the blood, right? And the dove of peace coming down. So you've got the Pope in there. You've got angels in there. So it's not really mutually exclusive as people try to think. When it comes to like devilish stuff or things like that, that's a ego made manifestation of something. It symbolizes addictions and oppressions and obsessions with things that have taken us away from our true path, which we're all on. We don't have to go find it. It's not somewhere. We're on that path right now. And just to add on to your levels, I've been taken to the next. We are layered up, and I've been taken to the next level. And there is really no. What I've been told, there was no this is right and this is wrong, and I'm going to stand on this side because they're on that side. We're all one. We're all like if you think of a bicycle, right? And in the middle, you have that little part that you have the spokes jetting out. That's all us. That's energy coming from that source. So we all are from the same thing. This is just meat suits. I say that to Johnny all the time so we can distinguish from one another. Can we learn the lessons of acceptance and letting go, and those are very important lessons. Those people that come down, they've done things that we on our ego self deem wrong and terrible, and they're horrible and they're going to be punished, they're going to burn in hell, is not the case at all. They came down here to teach lessons. They took that lesson. They chose that lesson so we could see, oh, I do that, or I think like that. Not to that extreme. It's got to be exaggerated so that you can see it. But at the same time, you got a little bit of that. You got a little bit of that. Now use that to work on you. It's simply a mirror. But as it comes to tarot, I don't find it to be devilish. I don't find that I got to pick a side, this one or that one. I think it's a great opportunity for you to get to know yourself. Or if you want to have fun, some of the things that myself, Ona, talked about, that use the tool in that way, but it's simply a tool. And so I can't tell you a hammer is going to get you. It's just a tool, because it's heavy. It's just a tool. So
Yeah.
that's what I have to say.
I always had, and my approach to tarot, because my family was not strictly religious, but this was witchcraft. And so that's the part that some of them frowned upon. And I would always make the argument because, I like to argue with some people sometimes when I feel as though you're not understanding my point to that time.
Right.
If I called myself a prophet, you'd give me a whole church. If I called myself a tarot reader, then I'm doing witchcraft. So it's one of them things. I'm talking to the same God you are.
Mm-hmm.
There is no difference. I know that you think there is because I got cards laid out and blah, blah, blah. But no, it's pretty much the same thing. Mm-hmm. But something I wish people knew about tarot is the breaking of traditions and molds.
Yes.
You do not. When I bought my first deck, because I was old enough to do it, then I started hearing you shouldn't buy your own first deck. Somebody has to give it to you. No. Then I heard there's a proper way to shuffle, and you know I shuffle loud, so no, there's a proper way to do what you want to do, but what I
Mhm.
want to do with something I paid for is what I want to do with what I paid for. If I want
That's
to pull all
exactly
my
right,
cards
Johnny.
and throw them up in the air and catch one and say, "Here's your reading," then that's what I'm
Yeah.
going to do.
That's
Mhm.
right. That's right. And I tell that to my students. There is no one way. And I really try to keep them away from like, remember this keyword, remember that keyword, because that keyword may not work on the reading you're going to give me. And that same card that Ona or Autumn is going to get, that may not even be their situation. And you're only stuck on this one keyword.
Mhm.
Yes, they should know the elements and they should know the suits and all that's obviously, but the cards are so beautiful, whether you're going older cards or the more artistic ones that are coming out now. They're so beautiful. The
Right.
story is in the card. It could
Right.
tell you everything. And the truth is, we've all been through everything that are in that deck. This just may not be your time on this thing or that thing. But I agree. Don't stick to some ritual because it's only going to limit you.
We have there is someone who has a channel. His name is Vincent Pissetti, and he's been doing tarot for 40 plus years.
Mm,
And he is the person that developed this idea. He threw it out there that tarot is a way of conceptual blending. Conceptual blending is a writing technique,
mhm.
Autumn, right? It's a writing technique. It's a way of blending concepts. So when we stack cards, we're blending concepts, and that concept is charging our imagination to tell a story. And that
Yes.
story triggers a response, and then there's an exchange.
That's it right there. That's it. And I always tell them it's a story. It needs a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Right.
Mhm.
And
His journey,
yeah, yes, ma'am.
right?
Yeah.
So I want to switch gears and go into like the actual reading process for us. We'll start with you, Ona. Is there a way you prepare for a reading, or what do you meditate? Do you clean your cards? What do you do, or do you just sit down and go for it?
If it's just a quick, like my cousin calls me and is like, that kind of thing, I don't do anything formal. If it's for a person, for a reading for a person, I like to just have a baseline idea of what's going on and really like the night before do like a meditation. For in the morning when I pull cards and do my little everyday, my little daily message patty bake predictions, that's rolled out of bed. The spirit is still stuck to me in the morning when I do those cards. So the ritual, it's peaceful in here. The ritual is there's no external stimulus making me crazy already. If it's with you guys and stuff, yeah, I have a formal thing. I light incense. If it's that I'm going to make an impact on a crowd, where there's going to be a few people, and you ask to always choose the right words to not offend anyone, to not make anyone do something stupid, to make sure you're non-judgmental. I definitely pull in and do a ritual thing for sure. Absolutely. But nothing formal all the time. And I think it's the same prayer that I do for my Reiki that I've known forever I do a Reiki prayer to sort of charge myself up. But even that now it doesn't even really, I just have to think about it, and
Your intention.
it's crazy.
Joyce, what about you? Do you have a ritual you do, or
I guess maybe you could say a ritual, but I'm kind of like Ona. I'm quiet. I'll come in my office and I like to neaten it up. And I know that sounds kind of strange, but that gives my mind just a time to flow on things, or I might jump in the shower, excuse me, and then this person will come into my mind. I don't know what they want until the time just before I'm getting ready to do the reading. And then I'll do some incense or sage or something like that. And I'll meditate into that individual's name or especially their birthday numbers. It just tells me so much about them.
Mhm.
And I start to feel them. I just literally start to feel them all over me and around me. And I know what the thing is. And I know if this is going to be a harmonious situation. I know if I'm going to have to work to make it a harmonious situation. Sometimes I know it's not going to work out even before. And
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
then
yeah.
I do this just so I know what we're really going to be talking about. Because oftentimes you'll get someone that'll say, I want to talk about this, that, and the third. And then you like, what do they really want? And I always do that. I'll look at 3 cards and I'm like, oh, this is what you really want. Mostly it's what they said, but other times it is not. And along the time that we get to chatting, comes out what I saw, what
Mhm.
they really wanted to talk about. And then I say, I have a prayer that I say, and I become the light because we're all light. And so I'm not seeking for the light. I am the light, and I just let it come out. And that's what I do.
Sebastian, what about you? Do you have something you do to get prepared?
When I was talking earlier about levels, about the different levels, for many years I've pictured like I'm sitting here, and then in my mind's eye, straight above me, there's a hole cut in the ceiling, but my the energy coming down through my crown chakra goes up, and then there's my higher self. It's on the other side, and the guides kind of mill around there. And some of them are cheeky, so they'll like sit down and have their legs like dangling down, and they're just watching, And and that crown chakra goes up to my higher self, which is attached to the other lives. And then of course that goes straight up to the divine as well, because I do see it as a fractal. The divine is a fractal. So what I do throughout the day and what I do before I go on at noon every day is I'm reaching up for the first thing I do is I stop with mentally I stop with the guides, and I'm like, hey guys, you ready? And then I'm reaching straight up into the divine, where it's like, okay, we're doing, it's not even a begging. And that was a big change from Catholicism. There wasn't a, I better jump through these hoops and do these things. It's like, no, I just reach up, and the divine knows I'm trying to bring down this positive energy. And then throughout the day, I'm randomly just trying to bring down positive energy. So that's all I do. It's very quick. But cleaning up, yes, you have to keep things tidy. It helps just mentally and spiritually.
I have a prayer I do each time. Also, if you, whatever your in particular ritual would be, tailor it to you. You don't have to do what, again,
Right.
back to the cards thing. You don't have to follow a formula for things. Spiritual anything does not have formulas. It has relationships. And so you have to bond with that, whatever is talking to you. So me, for instance, I want my energy to be out and then that energy to be in. That way I'm not just talking out the side of my face. Otherwise, then it really is just for entertainment purposes only, even in a personal reading. Like, I'm not trying to enlighten you. I'm just trying to, do my parlor trick. And so if you need to burn sage, if you need to spray clearing spray, relentlessly, whatever it is you need to do, that's for you. But I just say a little prayer, and your intention is strong enough to carry forth, and then you go on about your business. I want to go back, Sebastian, if you answer this one first, pretty please. What were some of your challenges learning tarot, and were you ever discouraged to just maybe give up? Because we have, like I said, so many people that watch us. They want to learn, and we do the giveaways to give people tarot cards, and all they get is that little book. And sometimes it's like, I still can't get it. I can't.
Yeah. Oh,
I don't
yeah.
know how y'all doing this? What was your challenges in actually learning?
Well, I understand Joyce was saying to not just focus on the keywords, but I actually suggest to just that's a starting point. That it's just roughly, and what you'll find the more you read, because I think practice is going to be huge. Cards will take on additional meanings as you read. As of this last year or two, I now have a card for white supremacy. Yay! but it's like, oh, that's what that is. Great. Because I read on politics. I get down in some mucky energy. The hardest thing is actually when I'm reading, because you kind of go into an alpha state in your brain.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're in this state, you can't really access your memories. I forget people's names, like politicians' names. I will, if I'm not using the standard Rider Waite deck, I will just completely forget what it's like. I don't know, like Six of Pentacles. I'm just guessing, just saying something random where I'll pull it out and I'll look at it and my brain will be like, what does that mean? Because I'm in this alpha state. So I tend to just stick with the traditional thing because I really want to put my feelings into it. I really want to reach my energy out into these issues and these people and focus on that. But to go on camera every day of the year and just look like a complete fool because you have forgotten the most basic stuff. It's just like, okay, just roll with it. As far as ever wanting to quit, there have reached points where the criticism gets to me. I get a lot less than I expected when I started, but and I don't mind the odd critical thing here and there, but boy,
it bother you.
Well, it's to this day, it's like I know if I wear my super long nails, I'm going to get some downvotes for that. And it's like, well, then I'm just going to get the downvotes. But it runs through my head.
Yeah.
Oh, if I do this, if I do that, I know I'm going to get complaints.
I pay no attention. Don't.
Oh, I understand.
I make a joke
Move
out
your
of
art. Move your art. Move your art. And once you start to alter it because of somebody else's opinion.
I don't alter it. I just I'm just thoughts.
Yeah.
The thoughts, it's there.
Yeah, I let it go in and out. Like Johnny and I did one last time. Oh, they loved it. They loved it. They loved it. But Joyce had gum. Joyce had gum. You had gum. And it's almost like, I taught school for years and years. So in school, if one little kid tells that somebody did something with their pencil, I got 10 more that can come behind to tell. So I take it as that. I take it with the same grain of salt, whatever. I let it go. But I don't get any criticism on the reading, but it might be they're more complimentary, or I just had one lady was with the gum, and then I had not one lady with the gum, but several with the gum. But one lady was like, you should do this and that to your eyebrows. I don't get that, and I dismiss all of that. I've spent 61 years as this, and I'm golden with it. Period. I will sometimes, and Johnny and I have had this conversation where you get people that want to direct the way your channel should go and don't ever read on this and that, and I'm start off professional, and sometimes it doesn't go well because I don't take to that. I'm a free bird and I'm going to do what I want to do. But yes, Autumn, to speak to what you're saying, when you are getting this, you do get into this alpha state. You even actually feel your eyes go and this thought, and then you're trying to remember somebody's name. And I'm always like, this is exactly what I say. Y'all know what I'm talking about. You'll tell me in the comments. And then they do. And then we love each other. So yeah, that's how I do.
Yeah,
at the end of the day, it's for fun. I don't feel like, and it's just Joyce, that I should be your news channel or your commentator, your psychiatrist, or your therapist. Yeah. This is to have a good time. It allows me to do something that I enjoy thoroughly. And and I like to share it with whoever is interested in listening. I'm not so hung up on the numbers. I feel like if one person listens to me, I'm golden, because who am I? You took the time out of your day to come and see me. Like, what? Okay.
You don't want to get into that energy. And I do my morning videos early in the morning. And I don't want to get into any other energy other than focus on what is going to pull you, in what direction today and
right.
in that. Because and allowing, I think there was a huge burst. I jumped right into the pool where there was a huge burst of subscribers and everybody at one time. And then when things kind of settle and you narrow in on the people that you like to listen to, or the time is just right, you get home at that time of day, and that's what time Johnny's on at night, and plug into this thing. It is kind of like watching TV.
Mm-hmm.
We get lost because we participate.
But Ona, I don't. I'm gonna tell you the truth. I don't even know you all. To be honest with you, I'm not even trying to be rude,
Mhm.
and I suspect that you don't know me either. I don't subscribe to anybody's channel. I know Johnny from about 2 or 3 years ago. I didn't know him at all, but I
Mhm.
would watch him when this is when he would do. Do you remember he used to do the table and he wasn't even on camera?
Yes,
Like
yes,
yeah,
before
back
camera,
then,
yes,
right
yes.
then, and then Third
Ours
Eye
too,
Champagne.
years. Yeah.
I just loved her, and in fact, I saw Linda on from Third Eye Champagne. And so I checked everybody out and I'm like, I'm golden. I can do this. And then I sort of, okay, go. But I don't watch anyone's because I just feel like I will be pulled too much this way or too much
Yes.
that way.
Yeah.
I like to just have my own. Now, if we coincidentally, you and I or Autumn or Johnny, we happen to read on the same day, it is what it is, because we know that we were
Right.
in the deep waters with all the Trumpism of it all. And so
Yeah.
everyone was on reading on everything. And it was crazy. There was just a huge influx of subscribers and views. I got a video that's at 98,000 views. Yes, honey.
Mhm.
80,000, 60,000. I'm not even kidding you. People are just
Good for you.
coming like crazy to see these videos. And it was just
Mm-hmm.
that kind of a time. But I'm very happy to have things settle down and
Yes.
turning a different corner. Now I
Yeah.
can do what I
Yeah.
want to do.
And like I said, with the clients I have, I like this group because we have there's an intimacy with you and your client, with you and your the
Right.
person you're reading for, and I don't want it to I want to keep the practice small. I love my channel to have like a lot, but I don't want to change. I don't want it to be altered because then I start maybe offending people. Or I think I did by using like a nun's picture for Black Moon Lilith. Got totally ripped.
Right.
All right, I'll use a rock. We're good. But I don't want to start changing up because it doesn't tailor to some people. This is just who I am. I'm just trying to figure it out, right? Just trying to figure it out.
I had a few messages, and thank you for those messages, about they like this new shift of conversation and not always politics, reading on this and reading on that. This is not new. However, I've done this now. This is the third time. I had one where I was completely off screen. It was just a black screen where I was talking about issues of the world. And then I had one where I had a call-in show. And so things have their own time. And so when people are ready to receive them, you will have the audience for the message that you were meant to deliver at that time. Mm-hmm. So, but the question was, we got off topic here.
But it was good. It was good combo.
Yes, now mind you, go where your heart goes. Just so we have something to talk about. That's but my challenge was with reading tarot, did I ever want to give up? No, I didn't want to give it up because my whole life I wanted to do it. Mm-hmm. And so when I was a kid, I wanted tarot cards. And then I seen Miss Cleo on TV and I'm like, yes, I want those right there. What she's doing. I don't want the hotline because that was bull crap, but I want to do that. I want to know how to do that. And so when I got old enough to buy them, I bought them, and then the rest was history. They actually sit in this box over here still. But the problem with me was association. I didn't know how to match two cards together to make one message.
Oh, okay.
They were all just 10 different cards, and I didn't know how to compute. But practice makes perfect. And what I will suggest to some of those out there is do what I do. I do fake readings. I basically pose a question to myself and I read. That way I can practice my card association. You can also Do a reading where, like Autumn said, we did not have, and there is no book out there that has the definition. This card means white supremacy. But the more time you do readings on different subjects, your deck is going to form a new meaning with the new card, which is why kind of Joyce says don't stick to the one little keywords printed on the front of the card, because you may never get out of that lane, and they may want you to talk about money laundering. There is no money laundering card. And so my thing was, I do these readings like, hey, should Bob buy a dog at this time? There is no dog card. And so what you do is you now start to program your deck to now talk about animals. We talk about pets in particularly, not just animals. And so practice. Take 2 or 3 cards. If you got a message that is confusing to you, that means you have too many cards down there. Take some of them off, do 2 or 3 cards, and match those together. You have to practice, start somewhere.
That's the thing, Johnny, that my students, they personally struggle with it. And that's a personal self-discipline issue. They come in, I'm very systematic, so everything is broken down in bite-sized pieces. It's the practicing part. And a lot of people are retired or, some work, I understand, but it's the practicing that makes such a difference, because that, and also building on a vocabulary. We all think we have a vocabulary, but we tend to use the same terminologies over and over and over. We might throw 1 or 2 in, but the more you open up your vocabulary reading, the more you're able to really express that card in almost every aspect that it would represent.
Right.
But it takes practice. And without that, because they come in the class day one to read like you guys. And no, these people have practiced for years. These people have wide, broad vocabularies. They do things. Autumn's got a book. Ona's in crafts. They have whole full lives. So practice and work on that vocabulary.
Okay, so we got some time. So I want to go to this one though. Is there, we all are YouTubers, I guess you can call us that, but we do some readings that go into some pretty heavy things a lot of times. Is there a subject that is taboo for you though? We'll start with Ona. Is there a subject that I'm not going there at all?
Personal one-on-one? No. If it's public, yeah, and I really have to sift through what the situation is too. Like kids, you have to walk lines, with vaccines and the things like that. Definitely giving out medical advice, being a registered nurse, it's not easy to hold your tongue, right? Especially a psychiatric nurse. Like, you need a referral. And really crossing an ethical line, I'll tell you, no corporation would want to see this walk the halls of their hospital.
Joyce, what about you? Is there something I'm not
much
going
the
with?
same as Ona was saying. I always say that I'm not a doctor and I don't play one on TV, so I don't do anything in the medical field. I don't read on children. I had a lady wanted a reading a few days ago, but she didn't want the reading for herself. She wanted me to tell her all about her children. She had like 4 children, the ages, and are they going to get married? Are they going to have children? Are they going to have this, that, and the third? And I told her, I wrote her back and I said, well, unfortunately, I don't do medical and I don't do children. And she wrote me back and said that they were all adults. And I said, well, great. Have them get in touch with me and they can get their own individual reading. But I'll be happy to read on you. And so those are things that I don't, because that has to deal with, like you were saying, with the ethics of it all. We have to allow the universe to work through those children. They came from you, but just through you. They're adults.
Sebastian, what about you? Is there something you don't touch?
Oh, heck yeah. I have a list. I've got way too much water in my astrology chart. So I'm reading by sending my energy out to topics. You start getting into dark stuff, indigenous children. That floored me. I tried reading on that once on camera and I had to stop. I had to just stop. I couldn't. It was like I felt like I got I feel like someone rammed a pole into the middle of my chest. It was bad. So I don't read on serial killers. I don't read on. For a long time, I couldn't read on Putin because it was very serial killer energy too. I'm getting a little better at that. But yeah, and children like Baron, nope. I've had lots of requests to read on Baron.
There's
Nope.
things that are just no. But serial killers, yeah, that's sure.
Oh, I don't just
Sex
because like.
offenders.
Yeah, but I'm sending my energy out to them and I end up feeling that, and it's that because that's how I read. So there are certain dark things that me personally, I'm like, look, I know there are other readers who are going to read on this. So go, they'll be happy to do it for you. But for me, I'm sticking to politicians and that level of gun.
And Autumn, I'm going to agree with you on that because I have another channel and it's a mystery channel and I get people all the time. Are you going to do that? Are you going to do that? And they don't understand that, like you said, you're sending your energy out there. You're going into deep, dark places. And I would just feel so yucky and dirty that I had to literally stop doing it because it just was not good. Yeah.
For me, it is, I don't find missing people at all. That's not my thing. I don't want to, even the Gabby case and all, like, I didn't want to go into all that. I'm not a missing persons person. That's not my forte. That's not my lane. I don't go into that. I err on the side of extreme caution when talking about anybody's health because I'm not a doctor, or asking me, should I get a divorce? I'm never ever going to tell you to leave anybody. Even if it is like this person beats me and this, I'm still not taking on your karma and saying you should leave your spouse. That is something you need to do because you need to do it. Then fine.
Yeah.
But I can only tell you, period. This is, and I give this advice again to anybody getting a reading. Do not go get a reading asking them to tell you what to do. Let them give you options based upon what your current outlook is right now. That's why I say reading tarot for me is a map. Here's your destination, but there's a lot of different ways to get there. Let the cards tell you which one might be the best for you, and then you can take it if you want to.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I'm not going to take the power from you to tell you what to do.
We offer a path to different choices.
That's right.
You get the gist of it with cards, and we are your gist. We're your, tarotists, right? We just help you. Like you already know the answer, but sometimes you're clouded with your own stuff that you just. These are the options that you have, and when you start to engage with somebody, and some of that energy gets released. You figure that out. Never tell anybody to jump off a cliff, get divorced. Gambling, I've gotten wrong every single time. Okay.
Now,
that lottery numbers, none of that kind of stuff.
Every time. When somebody asks me about betting on the Cubs, the this, the that, the Blackhawks, but I'm like, yep, I will pull the Ace of Cups and say they're gonna win the world. And you know what? Just because it's dirty money.
Hello.
Where are you?
Now we are at the end, madam.
I did get it wrong.
Now I have, though, a bunch of questions left, though. So if anybody needs to drop out, then you go right ahead. Thank you for joining me. But I'll ask a few more if, Lena, you want to answer some questions here.
Oh, sure. I can motor mouth on into affinity.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and drop, guys. Thank you so much. Nice to meet you, Lena.
Nice
and
to meet you.
Hi,
and
Joyce.
Autumn.
Nice to meet you, Joyce.
Thank you, Joyce.
You're very welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
I'm
Bye-bye.
sorry about getting the math wrong. I just had a feeling, didn't I, Johnny? And then I recalculated it and got it really wrong.
Because we had a back and forth about the hours and so, because we're on different sides of the world, as you see.
Yeah.
Is it okay if I take just a second and say something?
Yes, go right ahead, ma'am.
Lena, I have been so looking forward to meeting you. I am an intrepid viewer. I am a proud intrepid viewer from
that's
the
awesome.
beginning, from early on, and I'm so excited
Oh,
to
that's
finally reach you.
fantastic. I'm so sorry I've blown this, but there are more. So that's
Yeah.
great.
Yes. Okay, well let me get my bearings because some of these I did not cross out.
And I was just hearing Ona talk when I was backstage of that thing of reading for gambling purposes and stuff. And last week I happened to pick the winner of the Melbourne Cup race.
I've seen it in your reading, you said.
In New Zealand. But that is so rare. It won't happen again for another 25 years. You know what I
Did
mean?
you get any money?
No.
That's probably why you were right, just so because
Yeah,
there was nothing on the
exactly.
line.
Exactly. You know.
So, okay, my question, we'll start with you, Lena, then. Do you believe you always need guides in order to read?
No, I think we've all got them. But the question really, in a way, is do you need to know your guides to read? And no, I don't think so. Let me just jump in here because I'm an hour late. That to me, reading tarot, it's a bit like learning guitar or something.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone can apply themselves to the principles and learn enough to get up and running. You then get better. So if you want to do a radical jazz improvisation, you have to put those years and that time in to be different from plonking your chords and stuff. So the answer for me is no, you don't. The same way, in case I missed the question, do you have to be psychic to read tarot? I think it helps. But I think you can nut out a way through of what the cards are saying and applying what you've learned and know, you know. You might not be smooth and fluent and stuff, but you can do it, you know.
Practice.
Yeah. It's practice. Nothing short of that 1,000 hours will make you good at anything. Is my
Right. That's right.
Mm-hmm. Sebastian, what do you say? Do you need guides in order to read, do you think?
I don't know the names of my guides. It'd be nice if I did, but as far as I'm concerned, from my personal beliefs, I can't get away from them. They're always there.
Right.
And as a matter of fact, it's almost as if some of their energy, like tendrils of their energy, sort of come down and are touching my energy field. So they are better able to feel what I'm going through at this lower energetic level from them. So they're always there. And Lena, something you said there I thought was really interesting about you don't have to be psychic to read. I personally believe that I tell people there's nothing I do that you can't. I just have more practice.
Mm-hmm.
That all of our souls are pieces of the divine, and I am as special as you are. And so, and if you're reading and you're getting anywhere with it, chances are you're just opening up a little bit. You're opening your chakras up a little bit to getting a little bit better information, and then over time, more and more. So that's kind of what happens. But that it's not as far as I'm concerned, everybody's psychic. They just have to learn to open, and it isn't something you can even do consciously. I don't think, at least only to a point. So,
What do you say? Do you need guides?
I think there's certain things that you call on certain guides for. When I'm driving, I really want Archangel Michael with me. I think specifically, Archangel Michael has got when the cards, I don't call on anybody specific, but there's always energy around me. I smell stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that to me, I make that connection. That is something, that's some energy making that happen. And I have specific assignments for one certain combination of cards come out, certain things happen, certain smells happen. I know that is kind of a main thing. that's the watch out. That's the put your, shoulders back and watch out kind of guide.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the subtle ones, and when you're reading for someone and tapping into different energies, call for protection always.
Mm.
Whoever is bringing in protection, call for protection always, and just so that my words guide for the greatest good.
Yeah.
I get the you don't need guides, but like Lena said, it helps. Like you don't need fire to cook, but it helps.
Yeah.
And so when you pick up an Ace of Cups, if you go by the book, that Ace of Cups is going to mean what the Ace of Cups means. So you don't need something from another plane to tell you what that means, because you got memorization for that. So you'll know what it means when you see it. However, that thing does give you an insight into that Ace of Cups that maybe you would not have just by definition.
Yes.
And so when you are doing a reading, or if you're doing some sort of psychic whatever, that thing is operating, whether you acknowledge guides or not.
That's the thing.
It's already in there. It's already in you. The moment that soul spark was sparked, that guide was already with you. And that's part of your kit, as I call it. Your spiritual angels, guides, and ancestors. That's part of your kit. It comes with the kit. It's already there. You can't take it out. You can't throw it away. You can't substitute. It's not a feature. It's part of the thing. And so you don't need guides, but you're going to have them anyway. So
Yeah.
Yeah, they're there.
mhm. Okay. So we touched on this one, but I want to get you on this one too, Lena. Did you ever believe that tarot was evil? And what would you say to those who are dealing with people in their life that do believe that?
This is a big issue. For me, no. My mother would use the pendulum to plant the pawpaw trees, and my grandmother was a channeler, didn't have that name, but was. I didn't, but I know for a lot of people, particularly with religious backgrounds, this is an issue. It's seen as the devil's work, and it's, it can take some people years to get over it, and some people are never quite comfortable because they've got that stuff in their head. But this stuff predates all the organized religions by thousands and thousands and thousands of years. People have always done prophecy, or whatever it's called, in a particular cultural group. So people have read the runes, they've read chicken trails, they've read palms, they've read tea leaves. So there's always been a soul quest, I think, for this. And then the organized religions came on top of that and said, no, just this, there's only one way, and this is a very straight and narrow path. So my advice to people who have been brought up with that, and it's a real concern for them, is look at history, look at some anthropology, look at religions throughout the world, indigenous religions that predate all of the worry and the trauma and the bad news stories. It's always been there.
Now, Sebastian, I want to go to you on this one. What would be your advice, since you were raised in a religious environment? What would be your advice to people who are dealing with the same thing you did?
I knew I was going to tell in this story, but the upshot is a paraphrase from the Bible. They will know you by your ways. And if you have friends or family members who, some people will never, they just can't get there from here. But if they see you being a kind person, giving to charity, caring about others, inspiring other people, and you are a sane, sober, nice person contributing to society, it takes a lot of the sting off of their ideas about what this is. Because it's like, oh, this isn't some horrible thing. Hang on, boo boo. Quit it.
I'm
Sorry, he was.
I smell cat food.
Oh, oh, he has a ton of food, but he chews on things, especially cardboard boxes. He loves it. It's fun.
I know cat toys are so underrated, aren't they? You need a laundry basket, a paper bag, and some cardboard.
Absolutely.
Yep.
But I think. Oh, sorry. Go on.
Oh no. I was just going to say, my parents. I love my parents so deeply. I cannot even tell you, but. My parents, they are amazing, amazing people. We just don't talk about the fact that somehow they still manage to be far-right Trump supporters.
Yep.
So we do not. There's a rule. We do not talk about politics.
You can't.
We do not talk about politics.
About it and keep the family together.
Right. But the thing about my parents is they are Republicans. So when I was worried to tell my mom what I was doing with this YouTube channel. And I had it going for quite a while before she even knew. And finally, when I went to tell her, it was like, she's Republican. And I said, it's kind of like a part-time job. And she's like, I don't approve of what you're doing. But if you're making money, go right ahead. Republican.
You know, like amazing what the criteria is, isn't it?
Yeah. But also she knows what kind of person I am.
Yes.
But please.
Right. Yes. And Tracy Brown handles that very well. She's a Christian woman who does this work. But I'm taken back to New Orleans with Marie Laveau, you know, the very famous voodoo priestess of the 20s and 30s or whatever. And she was hugely popular across all the religious groups. And in the Catholic tradition, which is much more oogie boogie, I can talk about that in another time, but people would go to Mass and then go to Marie Laveau, right? And I think a lot of people straddle this divide regardless of what their official position is, you know. They still want to know, you know.
Oh, no, what about you? What advice would you give?
About
people who have to deal with, I guess, the taboo of being in divination, since it's not godly in their eyes. How do you deal with somebody, especially if they're in your family? What would you say to them? What would you say they do?
You know what, I wouldn't. There isn't anybody in my family that would sort of disagree with any of this. But I think I would point out examples of your everyday that are forms of divination. Like you celebrate birthdays, that's connected to astrology, right? You go and you fill your prescription at the pharmacy and it has RX on there. You know what that means? That means the doctor looked at your astrology chart first before he gave you a prescription. That's how old that is. And all this stuff was just part of an ancient, and we've changed the language of it. We've moved words around, and divination is starting to erupt again. But when you do divination all day long. When you pray, you're bringing down the divine. It's not something scary. It's just giving definition to something that you already do. You just don't realize you do it. I had the same friend. We have a bunch of friends in the same group. And I said, oh my gosh, it's like a coven, all of us getting together. And she flipped out. I said, actually, honey, this is the definition of a coven. Just like these women getting together, these crones getting together. And, just very, very semantic kind of stuff. You point those things out to them and they're like, this is part of the Bible's channeled. The Bible is channeled.
Oh, absolutely. And rechanneled.
Right? Nobody wrote that firsthand.
No.
that's channeled energy. You want to challenge me on some of that stuff? Let's do it. And I've said those things.
And then it went through the censors.
Yeah.
Yes.
In my
what's your
family,
story, Johnny, on this?
in my family, like I said, we were not deeply religious. We were occasionally religious, Christmas and Easter, that good stuff.
Yeah.
And then when my parents felt like they wanted to go to church, then they did. My father more than likely didn't because he wanted to watch football, but my mother would always go every now and then. But when I became an adult, then I was religious because I would go and I was in the church Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, Sunday night, Wednesday morning, Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday night. And then any other day that I was not at work, that's where I was because I was doing things in the church. And so I think this was maybe a divine thing. This was God pushing me to the side saying, it's nice to be close to me and religion and that type of thing, but you cannot lose yourself in it. So I never fully accepted everything they said. And so when you would tell me that psychics, that's the devil's work and you're going to hell, I couldn't accept that because it didn't make sense. Because like I said earlier, if I called myself a prophet, you'd give me a whole church. But if I call myself psychic, which is the exact same thing, then all of a sudden I'm an evildoer. So to me, what I would say, especially because I had this conversation with my sister who is Christian, so much so that her name is Christian. So she is very Christian, but she's not the judgmental Christian holding the picket sign in front of the gay pride parade or nothing like that. So she is the proper Christian who cares about people and loves the Lord at the same time. So she, however, was concerned about was the tarot thing. And so my brother, who has more of a desire to actually explain, he explained to her that, he's doing this and this and this. And we all come from psychics and my mother was psychic. And so he went through the whole conversation with her. I said, just ask her this one question. Does she believe that I worship the devil?
Right.
And of course she doesn't. So it's like, okay, conversation over.
Yeah.
I'm not doing anything evil. I'm not sacrificing mice in my room or nothing like that. This is, I've got cards and I'm using the cards. She's psychic too. They just don't call it that.
Yes.
And so it's like, I understand where you're coming from because you are coming from a place of misunderstanding. And so what the church does is they see something people do, see something they don't understand and they label it something wrong. If they can't control it or if they can't categorize it, then it has to be something wrong with it. And so I would just say, do you believe I worship the devil? If so, then okay, you go worship that and then I'll continue to not worship the devil. But if you don't believe so and like Autumn said, that I am a good person, then conversation's over, really. Then I'm not doing anything horrible. I'm not doing anything bad. I'm not sacrificing anything. Not to mention, the Bible does, Christians do way more rituals than pagans ever did.
Yeah.
Not to mention, pagans do not eat the body of the fallen Christ child and drink his blood.
That's right.
That is what y'all do. So, so I can't be evil if you're constantly eating and drinking people. So,
it's bizarre how that goes. No one questions that, and yet it's really a bizarre ritual.
Yes, it is. It is for me anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go on to this too, because as a person who has been titled by Lena Rodriguez as the tarot librarian, I have quite a few tarot decks. For those who have been with me for some time, you would know. So I want to know, and we'll start with you, Lena. How do you choose the decks that you use? Like you have the Russian 12 chairs deck. You have the Toth deck that you use for, particularly nasty people. How do you use, or why do you choose the decks that you use? Why do you choose the tools that you use, even with channeling and pendulums? How do you choose those things?
Yeah, I think it's like a backdrop to what you're bringing to the table that day. It's a flavor. why do you have this martini and not a beer or something? That might be crude, but it's a mood thing on one level, but it's also, it gives the flavor to the reading, which is why I would say to anyone with a Toff deck, I don't use them for normal people or something, or the Russian deck that's very dark. But the images are telling the lay person who is not a tarot reader something else other than this is the Nine of Cups or the Page of Swords. They can see that image differently and go, oh yeah, right. So I think I use it almost as a teaching tool, apart from personal preference. To me, it exposes people to different types of imagery about the same issue.
Do you find that it's, because I have this saying on my channel, the deck chooses the reading.
Yeah.
Because I have almost 200 decks. Yes, I know the images that are in each one of them for whatever reason is burned into my memory, but I don't personally. I should stop saying this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I don't believe that I'm led to pick one up, even though I am. I just reach down in here in this big container full of cards and I pick one up. And it's like, oh, I'm going to use that one today. And then some image will pop up and it'll fit the reading perfectly, which means I led to it.
And that's what I meant by
mood
too. Yeah. Sorry.
That it helped. I was asking, do you feel that you're probably led to that and it helps in the reading, that image to portray what you're saying?
I do. Yeah. Yeah.
So, Ona, how did
I've got a question for Johnny here, which is that with so many decks, I'm amazed how you handle, because new decks are quite difficult to actually manipulate and use. They need wearing in and stuff. And what's your process, do you think, when you're dealing with a deck that's really different, let's say, from the Rider-Waite? Do you struggle with it, or do you lock in on it, or how does that work for you when you use so many decks?
Only time I struggle with it is when you change the names of the cards.
Yes.
And it's more of a technical thing at that point, because I read fast. And so I actually have a deck of cards that are pink and they have like little scratch drawings on them. So when you get the Six of Swords, there's just 6 swords on it. You don't see the boat, you don't see the people, you don't see the stormy seas and the calmer water. So you don't really get the full picture of what the card is saying. But I know the card well enough to where that image in my head pops up anyway.
Yes.
As long as I get the name. If you change it to the 6 of Blades, then I have to then think.
I agree,
the 6 of Winters, then I have to think. And it's like, okay. Or if you change the court cards and now it's not the king and the queen, now it's like the novice and the whatever.
Or
it's
the daughter of wolves or something.
Yes, and now you make me want to throw you away. But that's my only real hurdle to get over, is when you completely change all the names. And then you lose me. I can't after that. Now, Ona, you have quite a few divination systems from the Ovomancy and we have to talk about the colors too when we get to that one. But how do you choose what you do or what you use?
The decks, well, for every morning, I actually, when I got the transparent deck, I hated it. I hate the way it smelled. It was all stuck together. I wanted to return it, blah, blah, blah. And now I use it every day. And I use it, it's every day. And I use it as an overlay. And I almost, never, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Use the actual meaning of the card, or just what direction is it pointing to in the chart. Right? This guy is going to have, he's his right arm, right? It's that energy. There's something tugging at him, pulling him back. Money. So and then honestly, sometimes I actually have a tray with my favorites, and I have some others stacked up. Sometimes I actually run my hand over the decks and
Yes.
see what tickles my hand
Mm.
on the
Yeah.
way back. That's how I pick cards when when I'm requesting a reading from someone. I run my hands over the card and kind of what energy is run under my hand. I'll pick that card up
Mm.
and I'll do that with the decks if I'm confused. I'm like, I don't know what to read on, or this doesn't make any sense. I want to clarify it.
Mhm.
I'll do it like that.
Yeah.
Sebastian, what about you? Because you have some of the same decks that I have. What is your process in picking?
Well, at the end of the day, be, I think there are a couple of things going on. One is astrological, which is on my ascendant, which is how you present yourself to the world. I'm a Gemini ascendant, but I have Saturn sitting right on top of it. So, and Saturn's ruling that Capricorn of the classics, classy, the historical. Think of the aristocrats in the UK. I mean, it's that kind of energy at the extreme of Capricorn. And so I like the classic decks. I have the most decks I have are actually reproductions of old decks. I don't have as many of the new ones. I actually have a whole bunch of the old ones, and I just generally just use the Rider Waite because I just feel it's very that's the same because I'm doing other things where my crazy Sagittarius stellium, let's do fun stuff. That's where I've got the overlays and the nails are different every day and the colors and the things and trying to keep the energy up here because then we go down because I read politics. So I'm getting in the muck, but then I need to be able to come back up. So I'm doing this literally 365 days of the year. So I'm juggling the chat, I'm juggling the reading, I've got the whole overlay set up, this whole thing, doing this. So having unfamiliar decks, it doesn't, it can be too much.
Yeah.
So we'll go back to you, Lena. What do you look for in a card reader? I get this question a lot about how do you find the right reader? And then, everybody gives the whole resonation speech, but how do you pick a reader? Like, what do you look for in a card reader?
It's a different world now because of YouTube, right? So you could look at 100 readers and get a vibe that way. That we didn't have that opportunity prior to YouTube. It was usually word of mouth. But for me, I tend to look at that reader, whether it's a photo or a video or an image of some sort, or just thinking about them. Because my thing is, are they an ethical reader? Right? So for me, someone who's they might be very good, but they're not for me or not for you individually. It's like anything else, whether it's a hairdresser or a tarot reader or a masseuse. You've got to find some affinity and trial and error even. Sometimes you can have a reading and go, oh, I thought that'd be great, but I just didn't like how they approached this or that. But you try as a professional card reader not to be too critical, and we are blessed by having access to each other and so forth. So for the public, I think there's no real way to guarantee you're going to get the perfect reader. You can meditate on that and hope for that. But I don't know how else you would actually, word of mouth again, someone who's been to them. I don't know other than that. Yeah.
Sebastian, what do you say? What do you look for in a card reader?
Are they actually moving energy? I was in college decades ago, and I was with my boyfriend at the time, and we went to a psychic fair. And so we were standing there, and there were all these different readers sitting at all these different tables. And I'd try one, and then I'd try another, and I'd try another. Yeah. And it very, very much, he even looked at me and he said, this person, there's no energy moving. Whereas this person, it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
And a lot of our viewers, they read cards themselves, or they're trying to learn, or they're
Yes.
trying to be more sensitive. So there are people who, and also, is the person just giving you face, just, okay, this is an Ace of Cups. This is a beginning of emotional, something deeply emotional. This is, I mean, are they just doing this by rote
Yeah. By rote.
memorization?
Yeah.
Maybe they can piece a story together. I think putting the cards together is a little bit easier for people who are writers, who write fiction, like Kirsten Langston, and things like that. But you can feel it. You can feel when you're dealing with somebody who's just, it's a dud, or if they're actually they're sending their energy out. They're actually feeling a lot of the stuff, or they. If they are a reader who says they don't do that kind of thing, I don't send my energy out, I don't do that kind of thing. That may not be how they want to think about it. So, but if they, in that case, I've got to look at their track record in general with other types of readings. So that's what I look for.
Ona, what do you look for?
I look for time. I was following this woman. Her name was April M. That was the only thing on her card. She would be at the chakra shop and healing arts resource like 2 days a week. I would always book an appointment with her like every 6 months. Then I stopped, moved away, came back. So it was always this one person, because she actually told me before I got married I was going to be divorced. And because she made this one little prediction right, I stayed with her forever and ever. And then, kind of like, I haven't seen her. I don't even know if she's alive. I haven't seen her in years. But I just had somebody that I really liked that was, I don't know. Because she got it right. She was good with dates. She knew my story. It was somebody I stayed with a long time. And YouTube and stuff, honestly, just watch. When I put my story out there, I get people that had the same cancer or the same have synesthesia. When you tell your story and someone else has got the same, piece of that story braided into their journey, they reach out to you. You reach out to that's how I think we find each other, because we have something in common that we feel like we can share a secret with you.
Mm-hmm.
If I feel like I could share a secret with you because I have something in common with you, that's where I'm going to go.
I've always had, because I've never had a reading done outside of the people from YouTube. Because when I was coming up, that wasn't a thing that anybody around me was doing. Mm-hmm. And then when I got my own cards, I was the person who practiced on myself. Mm-hmm. And so what I look for, though, on YouTube is first personality. I know it may sound shallow, but
I get that.
If you wallpaper paste, I can't. Like, I really can't, because I just can't. Like, I need you to crack a smile, crack a joke, crack win, crack something. I need you to do something human. I don't need you to be just the vessel for the message. I need you to also be human.
Yes.
It's like interviewing a therapist, right? Yes. It's like interviewing a therapist.
Yes.
You have to interview a therapist.
Yeah. And so the second thing is, I do watch, or maybe it's more of a third eye thing. I look at them and I can tell whether or not you are either reading from a book or you're reading from your intuition. If you're reading from your ego, that's another red flag. If you're just, this show is about me, I'm the reader, I'm a psychic, I'm fantastic. No, I can't with you, because you're not going to give me the message coming from spirit. You're going to give me the message you want to say, because this is about you. You're telling a story now. I'm not interested in just being a part of the story. I came to you for information. And so I can tell when a person is channeling, because their body is almost moving and they're not in control anymore. It's like they start reading and their head tilts to the side, and then they're speaking. The sentence is kind of broken up because as human beings, we can't really channel spiritual messages in complete sentences sometimes. And so it's just it's a nuance thing too. But ego is a huge thing. I can't.
Yeah, it's a big thing. And one of the comments was about that. I think it's huge. And I think it's a mistake new readers can make too, of thinking they have to know everything about this person they're reading from the reading. And you actually don't. If you're secure as a reader, you can go, look, for example, if someone I'm reading for gets the devil card, I think there needs to be an interaction, which is what you're saying, Johnny, too. And I'll say, look, in tarot, it doesn't have to be, this little hairy guy underneath our feet. It's usually about something you're doing that really isn't working for you, like really. What do you think it is for you? I ask them. And if you're secure, you can do that. So you're not wasting energy on being vague or guessing 67 options. And they'll usually confess. They'll usually say, yeah, that'd be that, or whatever. Then you can work with them, So you don't have to have all the answers. And in a reader, I don't want them to be absolute and this is the only thing that's going to happen, There's got to be
and
that.
sometimes I would say too, sometimes when you get a reading, everything is not cute. Like it is nice to, if I pull the Ten of Swords, you can put a spin on it that is not so harsh, but at the same time, I do need to give you information that way you know what to do next, or you can figure out what to do next. But the Ten of Swords is loss. I cannot make it mean happiness and rainbows. Now, sometimes, here's your positive spin, the Ten of Swords is an ending to something that needs to end.
Yes.
Everything in your life does not need to keep going. Sometimes the Tower means that, okay, this thing is crashing down. Good, let it burn. Because it's going to free me to do other things. Maybe it's going to hurt while it burns, but at the very least, once it's over, and I can move on to the next step in my life. So, it's sometimes you just got to take the Tower when it comes. That's all.
Yeah, that raises another issue too, and I try and drill this into my students. Never leave a reading on a negative card.
Yes.
Never do that thing. So if you've done a spread and there's the 10 of Swords and followed by the 3 of Swords followed by the Tower, and just go, time's up. No. So because those cards are visually confronting, when you see those cards, it's important. And I always say, look, this has turned up. We'll get to the bottom of what this is about. And then I'll pull more cards, how you can best handle that situation.
Yes, that's what you were supposed to do.
So you put them back together because it's not your job, no matter how accurate you are, to just pull the floor out from somebody and wave them off.
Yeah. And I think I think that's how some of this became unpopular, was because people used to do those kinds of predictions and say, you're going to be beheaded and, your chariot's going to lose all its wheels. And I mean, every card, the old timey vintage cards I have, there aren't any good cards. Everything is pointing towards somebody who's going to maim you, blind you, poison you, poison your wife, poison your dog. I love them. They're gorgeous, but I can't reanimate that. Everything's tragic in those cards. Everybody dies all the time. It's awful.
Thank you,
Em.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, it's pretty obvious, but it comes up in the comments in the chat. If you're looking for a reader, and this may sound controversial, but here's the thing. If they are a Trump supporter, they are not feeling the energy. They're just not. And because the number of people I've had come by my channel at one point or another and say, you're not a real reader, you're biased, and what have you. And I tell them, I say, look, if you can open up your energy and you can put your energy in the field of the human embodiment of all 7 deadly sins, and you're totally okay with that, good for you, but I don't even want to know you. But most of the readers the few readers who are not more of a more liberal bent, they're kind of scary, or they're just not. They're not sensitive.
Because I don't understand how you can delve in odd energy and not consider it to be odd. Like something is off. if you can't see what I can see, and I'm not even talking from a psychic standpoint, but this person is obviously gross. How are you okay with that? And
most readers and a lot of people who go to readers are sensitive.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
This is not on the list, but I do want to go here too. And we'll start with you, Sebastian. How do you, if you've done personal readings?
Yeah.
How do you handle it when a person is emotional?
I don't know that I'm the person to talk to, because I've got a Scorpio sun, a Cancer moon, and a Pisces Mars. So emotional is kind of my bread and butter. It's kind of how I live and breathe. My Cancer moon, I just use my instincts, which is, I'm always wanting to make sure you're warm and you've got cocoa and whatever you need, and how can I help you, and can I get you a blanket? That's my nature. So if somebody's emotional, I just take it as it is, and how can I be empathetic, and how can I help? And that's, I don't know any other way to do it.
Ona, what about you? Do you have
when you say emotional, you mean they burst into tears?
Yeah.
I let them cry. I let them cry. You absolutely have to let them out. Or, and then say, okay, well, let's talk about this. This is a good thing. You know what? Crying is a good thing, believe it or not. So let's figure out what's making you cry, right? If it's emotional, like anger and stuff like that, I've never had anything other than in my psychiatric nurse profession, somebody angry or uncontrolled emotionality in front of me. But in tarot, I think it's really, or in readings and stuff, people cry all the time. I cry. Readings. I cry in Reiki still. I know, as a master teacher, it's like, it's hard. I cry every attunement. You've got to let that stuff go. It has to come out. And even if they cried during the whole thing while they were there, then they actually leave feeling better, because they'll.
Oh, we've got a freeze. Yeah.
Well, tears are
We'll go to you. Oh, you came back. Okay, there it is.
Okay.
Oh, you froze.
Your ending of your sentence froze.
Yeah, finish that off, Ona.
What did I say? Oh, that the hormones, those buildup of hormones are in tears, right? There's different types of hormones in tears. There's the happy hormones, and there's these hormones when somebody dies, these grief hormones, right? That need to come out of you like a skunk. It needs to, and you feel better. Even if you spent the whole time crying with me at my kitchen table, you're going to leave feeling better. You're going to leave feeling better, because this, even if it's the tears and the hormones that needed to be released in those tears, you will feel better.
Lena, what's your approach?
Well, I think I agree with both of you. with what you've just said, and with Ona, the goal should be, like medicine, first do no harm. So you should feel better after a reading.
Mhm.
A good reading might not have many specifics in it, but you feel better. And if you go through an emotional trough to get there, I think your job as a reader, because often we are therapists or mediators or whatever, and often people are untrained and they're just in this field called tarot reading, and so I think as kind people, if that happens, you certainly just let them recover, talk to them, can you do anything, and then continue. And so you leave them in a better place than when they started. It should be the aim of the game, as far as I'm concerned. It's really, really important. That's why I struggle with readers who say, and there was an example here in the comments, I just tell it how it is. If they can't handle it, it's up to them. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You get those readers, right? Not in our group, our YouTube group, but I've been to some. And I think that is really irresponsible, even cruel. Sometimes it appalls me.
Yeah. No.
Mhm.
I always wrap up a reading with, how do you feel? How are you feeling? Do you feel better? Check in. You have to check in at the end of the reading and say, how do you feel? Do you feel like do you want to talk more about this, or you're going to wrap up? But then they check in with themselves, and sometimes it's just a third to and it can be nothing. It could be everything that you're using in your reading, every divination thing that you can think of. Sometimes just they need to talk, let it out, what it is, what's going on. That's why I don't like to do readings on live chats where people ask questions, because I like evidentiary stuff. I want to see those tears, right? Because I can reach over and wipe them away. I don't know what's happening on the other end of the virtual thing. And I start tuning into that. Readings are intimate, and when you go to a reader, you should leave feeling some relief or some idea on what direction out of the options that were offered, having something clarified.
For me, because I don't have traditional empathy. I have global empathy, as I call it. So I don't, as I've always given the example, a person approaches you and says, "Oh, my mother just died." My first reaction is not, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that." That's a human reaction. That's what most people, normal, adjusted people say. That's not what I say. I don't say anything, because it's not like I killed her, is what is going through my head. So
that you knew her.
Yes, and so my thing is, now what do you need me to do? I'm a solution-driven person. I am not driven by emotion whatsoever. So if you need money for flowers, you need money for the casket, what do you need me to do? Like, I'm not there for the emotional support. I'm there to get you through the other hurdles of life. And so when I do a reading, I don't know if it's me being a man growing up in a family full of women, but women tears, it's like, oh, I can't. What are we doing? And so I have had many, because so 99% of my readings are all female. And so I get a lot of the same comment. You were the first person I told this to. You were the first person I told this to. And then boom, here come the tears. Now, it's not like, okay, I can't read now. But the problem I have is my outside self wants to say to the person sitting here doing the reading, show some emotion, do something, say, something. I'm just standing there like wallpaper, like I said before, because I'm about to do the reading. So I need to channel this information to you, and then we can see what we need to do. Because again, solution driven, not emotion driven. So it's hard for me to be down with you, and because both of us can't cry. One of us has got to read the cards. So it's like, I can't.
Johnny, I think that's
fantastic.
I do. I think that's a really healthy response that you have. First of all, you have the insight that that's how you work and think, right? That's an insight. Right. But you do bring that other energy to the table. I'm just going, oh, okay, now let's talk about what we can do. I think that is a brilliant thing to offer. And I
Because
don't
my
think it's
thing is
anything you
also,
need to work on or to change.
I feel like I do. Because to your
Uh,
point, though, is we're not going to leave you in this state.
Yeah,
That's my whole thing. Because
that's
again,
the
solution
responsibility.
driven. I can't
Yeah.
wipe the tears away with sympathy, so I'm going to wipe it away with
Yeah.
a solution. Here's how we're going to fix it. Cry some more. Always get it out though, because repressed feelings and repressed pain is toxic. It's toxic to your actual physical and spiritual body. It's like an infestation. It will eat you from the inside out. And so get that out. I'm not saying don't cry. I'm just saying we can't cry together. I just so you don't think I'm a robot. I just can't. I can't with you. Is all I'm saying.
I mean, no, but I think that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And all you need to say really is just take a few minutes and see how you feel, and then we'll talk about what we can do. I think it's fine. That's the only tweak you need to do. I think you're naturally doing it really well.
And when people are jumping around sometimes to sort of avoid seeing someone professionally, they need to actually get some professional help, and they will, for instance, if somebody's addicted to alcohol or something like that, they might come and see you for a reading, and you pick up on this stuff, and they know what they need to do, but they just want to know they're going to be okay, or they want to see if they can do it on their own and things like that. And you can get into some heavy duty conversations with people.
So I want to go here because, we'll just ask it this way. I won't set it up. We'll just ask it this way. How do you handle, as all of us have done readings and political reasons, blah, blah, blah. How do you handle being wrong about a reading, about an outcome? And has it ever discouraged you? Like, oh, I really messed that up and I'm not doing it anymore or something. But we'll start with Lena. How do you approach being wrong about a reading?
I've got one coming up on my next video because I thought that McAuliffe would just squeak past.
Me too.
I'm not alone. That is good. And so for me, that's what I'll say. Sorry, guys, didn't get that right. And I don't think it was particularly anything else. Just got it wrong. You know how to. And I think what matters overall is your track record. I mean, it's different again if there's a newbie, and that's because it's more scary if you've only done 5 readings and 3 of them are wrong. You might really rethink your path.
Read your book again.
But if you do the hundreds of readings that we've all done, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of readings, you just hope that overall your track record is, but I never try and pretend or excuse it. If that's the question, I'll own it. Yeah.
What about you, Ona?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely have to own it. If I don't own it, it's because I forget. Like, sorry, the Cubs lost. Sorry, that was, I always try to debunk my weirdness when I have real time weird things happen. I always try to debunk it, even smelling now, even though I know certain smells or certain things, certain triggers will cause certain smells to happen. Even though I know, I still look for it. I still try and figure it out.
Sebastian, what about you?
I say it as often as I can. This is not 100%. This is not 100%. It's not 100%. And the thing is that I feel good. Of course, I think it's human nature to feel good when somebody in the chat brings up something and says, "Hey, you were right about this thing." But I will often say in response to that, "Oh, good," but I can't take credit for that, because then I'd also would have to talk about the things I got wrong. And so I actually, I'm just very open about it, and very upfront about it. And I have problems with readers who are like, I'm 100%, I'm always right, or or they spend a huge amount of time being defensive about, well, I got this wrong because of this and this and this and this, and it's not like, I know Andre from Astrology Alert, he called McAuliffe winning as well, and he's done an autopsy on that astrological reading, and bless him, because he said, now that's a situation where I was looking at this factor and this factor and this factor, and now I know that this was a factor too. You know, he's learning from that, and bless him. That's the way to do it, and we all do. But to a certain extent, I am doing the best I can in life. That's really the key. If you can look back and say, I did the best I could, then you're golden.
I always say, because I get plenty wrong, because I say I am a human being and trying to interpret a spiritual message. I'm going to get it wrong. Everybody. That's why there is no such thing as tarot master. I'll be the tarot's apprentice forever and ever and ever. Because you will always learn something. If you're not always learning something, that's because you believe you already know it. Spirit will prove you wrong should you be in the position. Okay? I always say humble yourself in private, or God will do it in public. So there is a instance to where what you're looking at is what you believe it is. But things are in constant motion. Your tarot cards do not freeze time. And so when things are different, something changed. Sometimes that's what it is. Or sometimes you just read it wrong. And that's okay. Like, I'm not really trying to change your whole life with the McAuliffe reading. I mean, I'm really not. So if I got it wrong, then I got it wrong. I'm moving on to the next one. Now, my thing is like Lena said, if you got 10 readings and 9 of them are wrong, then you have to read your book again, boo-boo. But other than that, then do the best you can. That's all you really can do. I mean, I got 1,300 videos. There's a whole bunch of wrong ones in there, and some of them are right. And then you get that feeling like, oh, okay, maybe I am a little bit intuitive. I hate the word psychic, because it implies to people that I can pull an answer out the air. And so that's just me. Okay, last question. Advice for beginners, people who are going to start reading for the first time because of tonight, or they start reading yesterday, or whatever the case may be. Like I said before, stop with all of the molds. No, you don't have to shuffle a certain way. No, you don't have to pray a certain way. No, you don't have to buy this specific deck. Maybe I always thought the Rider-Waite deck was ugly, so I never bought it until later on down the line. So it's like, what do you like? What do you want? You don't have to fit the mold. But Lena, we'll start with you. Is there any advice for the new readers coming up now?
Yes, I think one of the things is the major arcana are 22 cards, and they're the big guns, right? So you have to sort of read up and learn your major arcana. Right? After that, all the rest of the cards and all the rest of your readings are about the suits, whether it's the 3 of swords or the 10 of swords or the thing. So my thing is, spend time on the suits, and my sub-advice within that is do them separately. If you try and read about wands and swords and things, it's going to mash in your brain if you're a newbie. And I wish someone had told me this 30 years ago. But you just focus on one suit maybe for a week, and you can put the pieces of paper up around the house with 3 or 4 keywords about each suit, and you put them on different walls of the house so you sort of see them differently, because if you can nail the suits together with the pictures and other things that are going on, you'll always be able to make a crack at a reading. So that would be my down-home advice. Work on the suits, but separately, until you're really crystal clear about the suits.
Sebastian, what do you say? What is your advice to the new reader?
I have a lot of the basic advice I see. Start with keywords, just so you can understand the basic. So you can at least have a starting point with different cards. it will come out completely differently sometimes. You'll get a whole bunch of cards, and then suddenly it comes to your mind very strongly that, no, this is what this means. Well, that isn't quite what the cards say. Forget that. Go with the strong feeling. But the thing I think a lot of, and I'm so glad this has not come up here, so no one thinks I'm talking about them specifically in the chat or somewhere. It is great when you start tapping into yourself and you start having this connection and what have you. But sometimes you have to remember you're human, because and I find when there's some people who have, I don't know, maybe they have a lot of certain things in their chart or whatever, but they're suddenly, this means that. And so they're going to correct you.
Oh, yeah, I love that.
And they're going to, they've had this reading, so this is exactly what's going to happen, and that's just the way it's going to be. And it's like, okay, you're young. You might, I don't know what your chronological age is, but when it comes to reading, you're young. You'll learn. But that's the thing that I don't think is said enough, which is, you are going to be wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Often.
Yeah. I was just looking up, is there a tarot app? Because it seems like from my daughter's perspective, she has CoStar. The CoStar, it's an astrology app, and there's other things that are making it very, very mainstream. So there is actually a tarot app for Android. I think there's also a tarot sort of like board game where you start to learn the archetypes of like the major arcana and stuff. But I think the tarot app, if I can contemporize tarot, I'd say something like that you kind of can relate to right away and start assigning these things. We go over them a lot on all the readings, what element is, is assigned to each suit and things like that. It's really practicing. It's practicing. It's bringing them with you everywhere, all the time.
I'm sorry, to jump into a comment here. Biddy's Tarot, lots of people, there are apps.
Biddy
Biddy's
Tarot is really
has an
good.
app, and Biddy, I think, does great work.
Yes, it's a lot of information there, and there is a little about these symbolism in the card too on the website if you go biddytarot.com. So it's a good place to go get some information.
Jamie, what are your tips for newbies?
So I would say, even though I've just been preaching about don't follow the mold, here's one little mold that's, I would suggest you still do not have to do this, but get the Rider-Waite. Because this is a green screen back here for those who didn't know. That's not my living room, so it's cutting out the color of the card. But this card here is the Chariot, but this card here is a variation. They're different in every deck, but every deck I have was based on this. And so that's why I say get the Rider-Waite, because it is going to give you the base symbolism of the Fool and the Chariot and the whatever and the whatever. So that way, if you pick up a different card, then you can still see where that person was coming from, because they base their deck on that one. Now, if you go way obscure, then that's because you wanted to. But if you get something that is loosely based on the Rider-Waite, just have it. If you don't, because I don't personally like it, but just have it. That way you can learn the symbolism of the tarot, because the Chariot is going to mean movement. Why is it going to mean movement? Because he's in a cart. That's why. And so that's going to be in another deck. They're going to show another person in a cart.
And I'd reinforce that. There's a reason why just about every reader in the world starts, even if they play around with other. It's like learning to drive a manual car, the Rider-Waite. After that, you can jump into any vehicle.
So learn that basis of the Rider-Waite. Like Jace Harnage, who's in the chat. I got her this one, even though she wanted the ones that were prettier. I got the prettier ones too for her so that she can have it. But you need to learn this first too.
Yes.
This so you get the base symbolism of what tarot is, and
Yeah.
then branch out.
That's
Now, my first deck was not the Rider-Waite, so you do not have to. I'm just suggesting. But also have a firm foundation. That's a key advice or piece of advice too that Autumn just gave. Know what the card means. Get the keywords too. I know the whole I read intuitively. I got you. But I still need you to know that the Fool means beginnings, not just leaps of faith. Leaps of faith because he's about to walk off the cliff. So you intuitively believe that. Okay, but I need you to know it means beginnings. I do need you to know it means foolish because the major arcana can be literal. It could mean something foolish. It could be an actual magician. It could be an actual hierophant, which is a pope. So it could be something literal. So I do need you to have a firm foundation of keywords. And then you let your intuition speak because it wants to. It is going to train you in the way of the tarot. Because sometimes you're going to pick up the Fool and it's going to be a person and not a beginning. So you do need to be able to listen to something that is actually talking to you, your guides and your whatever else. Like for Donald Trump, we were not trying to insult him by calling him the Fool. That's how it came up. And so if
there's a little bit of both. Sorry,
it was not our complete intention.
It was not our complete intention, but yes, there's a little.
It's just Spirit knew that, he's not the brightest crayon in the toolbox, and so we're going to call him this. That way you understand. So that's some basic advice for you. Thank you so much to Ona Carroll. Thank you so much to Black and Orange. Thank you so much to Lena Rodriguez and to Joyce for joining me. Remember, tomorrow at noon, have your hips over there to Black and Orange Tarot and wish her happy birthday.
Oh,
thank you.
Let me do it now. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
And so we will be over there doing some readings tomorrow. Make sure you are there. Good Lord, we got all kind of trolls today, didn't we? Yeah, thank y'all so much, moderators, for the thankless work. I mean, because y'all have been killing it tonight.
Really? Wow.
It's been like 1,400 people that just have the most oddest comments in the world, but they have
Mars and Scorpio all getting in our business, huh?
Oh, Jen Lynn. Hi, Jen Lynn.
So thank you to
Johnny.
everyone. Thank y'all for joining me. Thank y'all for
Thank you.
Our next one is in 2 weeks.
I'll be there.
Yeah.
That's on toxic people.
About toxic people. So that should be fun.
I think the comments will go crazy with
all kinds of stories. I mean, paragraphs then, won't it? So again, thank y'all for joining us. Thank you, Ona. Thank you, Autumn. Thank you, Lena. Thank you, Joyce. Y'all have a good night, and we will see y'all tomorrow.
And thanks for organizing this, John.
That's my.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.